doing a tour of Kew Gardens on Sunday for the West London Queer Project. And then Sunday evening, was planning on going to karaoke, but I'm not sure I'll actually be able to sing at this rate because I feel like my voice is going. But anyway, all of that said, welcome back everybody to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong, a weekly podcast hosted by two exes who like to talk about everything and nothing in particular, and that can include politics, film, TV, what else? Capitalism, late stage capitalism, everything you can imagine. My name is Josh and I'm one of the hosts, and welcome back.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm another one of the hosts. Welcome back. What does late stage capitalism mean?
Another one of the hosts, like there are more. There's suddenly we're going to pop up and there'll be someone else. Late stage capitalism, I suppose I use the term as if I know what I'm talking about, but I think it's like a kind of read of capitalism, if you like, as if to say that we're in this stage of the capitalist era where capitalism clearly isn't working for most people. And so it's when a system starts to spiral out of control, it's late stage. I don't know. I could be wrong. You can listeners and viewers can tell us where we're going wrong.
Where we're going wrong have you heard of early stage capitalism or mid stage capitalism?
No, I've only ever heard of late stage capitalism. Apologies to you all listening or watching. I've got a cold, and so I'm very snotty, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to try not to sniff and snort too much, and I've got my trusty Lemsip. I feel like we should get advertising revenue from Lemsip, the amount of times I mention them.
Well,
I've got the blackcurrant flavor this week, which is good.
Maybe you're just addicted to them, and this cold is psychosomatic so you've got an excuse to have them.
No, this cold is definitely not psychosomatic. Anyway, how are you, Sean?
It might be late stage psychosomatic.
I'm
doing all right. I'm happy that the days are longer in the UK, although it is currently quite chilly here. We've had a run of cooler weather, right?
Yeah, it turned really cold again.
And really wild, like hailstorms and thunderstorms and all sorts of chaotic weather. But have you seen what the weather is meant to be next weekend?
It's going to be like 28 degrees or something. Well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
They often taunt us with these things, and then as you inch closer, it just peters out, and then it becomes, 23, which I wouldn't mind. 23 would be better than whatever bullshit this is, but 28, bullshit. I'll believe that when I see it. When I start sweating in places I didn't know I had glands, that's when I'll believe it.
Well, it's a metaphor for life where you always hope for better and then you're always disappointed.
It's late stage capitalism, so.
Absolutely horrible, horrible. Now, anyway, I wrote to you in the week to ask you, first of all, before I even get to that, I ran into an old friend of ours today and I wanted to let you know about it. And just how funny, I wanted to tell you this. This won't mean anything to anyone listening because nobody knows who this person is.
Let's start the episode on a high point.
No, but I wanted to say, you know how you really believe in the universe giving signs and things happening in weird ways, or you'll think about a friend that you haven't seen for 17 years and you'll run into them on the street.
Yes.
So I was going to Unity Diner in East London today to go and meet Greg, who is the chef, another Australian, and was going to have to chat to him. We're doing a supper club together in June. They're going to trade at my vegan beer festival. They're going to run a food stand.
Amazing.
And I've got a poster up in the front window for the vegan beer festival. It's facing out. Oh, you've got the cup there, some product placement. Anyway, I went in and there were 4 people sat in a booth. You know, there were those booths at the front window.
Yeah.
And I looked at one of the people and she looked at me with this sort of glazed, you know, when somebody thinks they recognize you, but you're not sure. And so I smiled and I went, oh, hi. And then I went around the corner and I looked at the other person who was there, and it was Lisa Drummy, who used to run Fry's Family Food.
Yeah. We went and stayed with her once, didn't we?
Yes, down in
Portsmouth or Southampton.
Near Fareham or something.
Portsea or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Scully, something like that.
Yeah.
But How long would it be since we've seen her, do you think?
Oh,
Like, that would have been
I
in about
mean,
2013, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, you know
She
me, I've got no clue.
and I used to work alongside her, but what's weird is that I wasn't meant to be there today. I was meant to go yesterday, and at the last minute, it got cancelled. Lisa doesn't live here. Her and her friends had just come for, like, a random meal, and she said that she's never online, she never sees anything, she doesn't use Facebook, Twitter, anything. She doesn't use any social media. When she was walking into the restaurant today, my poster was there and she was like, "Oh my God, Fat Gay Vegan is still doing stuff. I haven't seen him in over a decade." And she said not only 5 minutes after that, I walked in through the door
Mhm,
and saw her. She said she was so, what's the word? Is it discombobulated?
mhm.
Because it was like I'd stepped out of the poster or something,
Right, yeah.
because she'd just seen it and we haven't seen each other in, I
So
think
you
it's about 12 years.
so you did go and actually have a conversation with her then?
Yeah,
After
we
you,
we
yeah.
chatted for like an hour, and
Oh, that's nice.
oh, it was so lovely to talk to her. But I just thought you'd appreciate that sort of, what's the term for that?
It's serendipity, so
Serendipity, late stage
sa
serendipity.
late stage Sandra Bullock. Wasn't she in a film like Miss Serendipity or something? I don't
No,
know.
wasn't she in
Uh,
Miss
Miss
Congeniality?
Congeniality. No, what?
She was in late
So-
stage Congeniality.
oh, that was it. Yeah. Talking about congealing. Apologies for my appearance. Because I'm actually really ill, and I was like so pale, and also to make matters worse, I dyed my beard, and so like I've got this really dark beard with really pale skin, and so I thought, oh my god, I look ghostly, like ghastly and ghostly. So I was like, I'm gonna just slap some makeup on. So I was like smearing this congealed makeup all over my skin, and it was like just totally the wrong. It just wasn't working on my pale complexion at the moment. I look like you know, you know, when you make pancakes, you know, there's always the first pancake that you throw out.
The ugly duckling
Yeah,
pancake.
because it's just like the reject
Or
pancake.
the first tortilla you like
Yeah,
to heat
yeah.
up the pan.
That's what my face is like at the moment. So I'm
Are
like
you
deathly pale with like a dark dyed beard. And I can't. I'm having Lemsip. I can't even have my my usual medicinal glass of Malbec, which would of course give me a nice rosy complexion. So I feel like I'm the reject pancake today.
well, what about, isn't your mum an expert in making like a little Irish whiskey or a hot toddy or something? Like,
Well, I don't think. I mean, as much as I'm all in favor of alcohol, whether medicinal or not, I'm not sure it would be a good idea the way
are
I'm feeling. And I've
you,
got to get up at the crack of dawn. I'm going to the Isle of Wight tomorrow for the day.
I don't know
Um,
what's going on in your life that you're going to the Isle of Wight.
well, I don't know, but no, I would. Yeah, I don't think a whiskey would be a good idea. I do think it's another argument for my occasional glass of Malbec. Those is purely for aesthetic reasons. I drink for aesthetic reasons.
I thought you were going to say it's another excuse for birth control, and I
Isn't
didn't know
there?
what you were going
Oh well, yeah. Speaking of birth control, I need to talk about abortion in a minute. But
to. Okay.
um, I know we always talk about Alanis lyrics on here. Isn't there an Alanis song called "Reasons I Drink"?
Oh my God. So funny you say that. Here's another
Is it serendipitous?
here's another late stage Sandra Bullock starring in Miss Congeniality.
Uh-huh.
Another link. I just did this Spotify thing where it tells you your most listened to Spotify songs of all time ever since you've had Spotify.
Mm.
There's this thing they've done, and you can create a playlist. My first 17 tracks of my first 200 most listened 200 tracks. Which artist do you think is the top 16 tracks?
Gaga,
Yeah, Lady
right?
Gaga, but the entire Mayhem album plus a few others sprinkled in.
Mm.
Number 17 of my most listened tracks of all time, since I've been using it since 2015, was Reasons I Drink by Alanis Morissette.
Really? So, oh my
But
god,
can
that's
you
so
believe
weird.
that that would even be that Alanis
Yeah,
song out
of
of
all
all
the
the
Alanis
Alanis songs?
songs, yeah, that's weird. That's very weird.
I think I was having an emotional breakdown and listening to it all the time, and it came out while I was still drinking.
I don't even know how it goes. I wasn't even sure there was. I thought there was an Alanis song called "Reasons I Drink," but anyway, that's the reason I drink, is for the nice rosy complexion. But not today, folks. Apologies.
Well, you should check your your privilege, but also check your Spotify top playlist of all time, and maybe we can discuss it next week. But I'd be interested to see what yours are.
Oh, mine would be all skewed though, because I put on things like green noise, and then I let it play all night. You know, it's like a 10-hour playlist or something,
The
and I just
fuck
let
is
it play all
green
night.
noise?
I don't know. It's
Do you
all
mean
to do
white?
with like.
Do you mean white
No,
noise?
there's white noise, brown noise, green noise, grey noise. It's all to do with what like hertz the music is pitched at.
Are you vibrating on a different frequency, Sue?
I am, like Shirley MacLaine. What was I going to say? Oh, but yeah. So speaking of abortion, I mean, it's not really speaking about abortion, but it is. It is, and it isn't. I had to go to Amsterdam for work earlier this week, and I went with the owner of the business, and then when our plane landed at Amsterdam's Schiphol airport, shithole airport. No, it's actually a really nice airport. The plane was like coming down towards the runway, and then it just dropped. It hit the runway so hard, like it like bang, like a crack, and then everyone.
I'm waiting for how abortion ties into this.
Well, I'll get to that, Sue. Hold your horses. So it like hit, everyone screamed, and then it shot up. You know how like, have you been in a plane when it's like, you know, like pedal to the metal or whatever? You know, like
balls to the wall.
Yeah, the engines are like full throttle, and we were like shooting up again. Like obviously so this is why I was going to say abortion, because it was obviously an aborted landing.
Right.
Okay, and I'll come back to that. So.
My God, this is a long story. Where's it going?
No, but obviously I'm still alive. So, but it was so scary. So, like, we'd had this like awful experience, and then we were just like shooting up into the air again, and no one said anything, like on the intercom. And then about literally 15 minutes later, so we were just going up and around like Amsterdam again. 15 minutes later, the cabin crew come on. They're like, ladies and gentlemen, you probably noticed we weren't able to land at Schiphol Airport. We're just doing what's known as a go-around. Perfectly normal procedure, nothing to worry about. We'll be landing again shortly. And I was just like, fucking gaslighters, because like that was not a normal procedure. And also go-around.
Yeah, go-around. That's very funny.
I was like, can't we just say aborted landing? It's like abortion is a dirty word, you know? And it's just like, abortion's not a fucking dirty word.
An aborted landing does sound very dramatic.
But I think, using the word aborted in its true literal sense, because when we talk about abortion, we're talking about an aborted pregnancy. You know,
right.
anything can be aborted, not anything, but you know, aborted doesn't necessarily refer to.
I think it's an alarming word in that situation. It makes you feel like something seriously was wrong. It's used to convey a sense of urgency or seriousness, that it had to be stopped urgently. It couldn't carry through. And so to say that to people who are still on a plane circling, like if you're on the news, you'd go, oh, there was an aborted flight, or, you know, but I would hope someone wouldn't say that to me while we're still in the plane, because it sounds like an emergency.
Yeah, well, it kind of felt like an emergency. Anyway, when it landed for the second time, everyone cheered and clapped, which was very dramatic.
Were people like, when it first aborted, did people yell out or?
Yeah, people were like really worried, like just panic stricken. It was pretty horrendous. Anyway, that's my dramatic story of the week.
Well, I messaged you in the week to ask you if you had watched this documentary about death cap mushrooms in Australia. But when did you actually watch it?
I watched it about a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
It's 3 parts, wasn't it? I think I watched it over a few nights.
Yeah. So I just want to give people I can't imagine anyone listening to this, or out of the 112 people listening, that there would be many people that have at least heard of this story, because it was huge news, wasn't it, when
Yeah.
it was happening. So there's Erin Patterson, who is a person in Australia, was convicted of murdering 3 people and attempting to murder a 4th person. The case happened on July 29th, 2023, when she served beef Wellington lunch containing death cap mushrooms at her home in Leongatha in Victoria in Australia. And it's not funny, but it's very serious. Like, 3 people died. Another man was incredibly unwell. Did I have it right that he was maybe in a coma for a little while, or am I imagining that?
I can't remember the details. To be honest, I thought it's an interesting story. I didn't think the actual documentary was that good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
But
okay, but it didn't need to be 3 parts. I thought it could have been a 1-hour documentary, to be honest.
they did stretch it out a lot with, like, personal stories of people in the town and that sort of thing. Similar to another documentary we just watched about that volcano eruption in New Zealand where 21 people died. Have you seen that?
I've not heard of that, no.
That's quite emotional. That's just a one-parter, but it's an hour and a half long. And it was in recent years, and tourists would go to this active island volcano and go up and look over the crater, and it erupted while people were there.
Yeah, and isn't there
And
footage from a boat or something?
there's all sorts of footage.
Yeah.
It's very distressing. But it reminded me of that. There are lots of adjacent storylines. So these people in Leongatha and Korumburra. Don't you love Australian town names? Like, it's so funny when you listen. It makes me feel very Australian hearing people pronounce things like Leongatha and Korumburra. But these people that she murdered were the family of her estranged husband. And from what I can understand, they're actually still married, even after all of this. And she's in prison serving multiple life sentences. I read today that her estranged husband is writing a tell-all memoir about it, about his experience of it, because he was invited to the lunch, but he pulled out at the last minute. So it would seem that her intention was to murder everybody, right?
And it came out during the trial, didn't it, that he'd had not loads, he'd had multiple instances over the years that they were together, and even after they'd separated, I think, where he would go to her house for dinner, or they might go away on a camping trip or something, and he would get extremely ill from food that she'd cooked, and no one else would.
And he had a suspicion that she was poisoning him long term. But, okay, I'm not here to victim blame people. I mean, it's not what I normally do. But he knew that his parents and his auntie and uncle had been invited to Erin's house for dinner. He didn't go because he was fearful of a pattern of behavior. Why wouldn't he have warned those people not to go there and eat it? Like,
it's all quite odd.
Am I going to libel myself if I say this? If I say my suspicions?
Oh, I don't know. If you word it correctly, maybe not.
Okay. Do you think that there is a possibility that someone might think? I'm trying to say this in a really roundabout way.
Could one suppose? Could it be supposed that
I don't think this, but some people might say that
to spit it out, Sue,
that man was involved and he knew, and that's why he didn't go. Like, why would he not tell those people that he thought that this woman had been poisoning him over a number of years?
I don't know, Sue. I don't know.
And
it is odd.
It's such a bizarre story, and what was really scary to me was the amount of data they had on her, and they were able to track her movements through, her internet searches, her phone pinging different towers around Victoria. They could track everywhere she went. You really couldn't get away with a crime these days, could you, with how we're under surveillance all the time?
No. What I loved about it most of all is because I'm a plant geek. Um, they referenced her use of the iNaturalist website, which I don't know if
Yes.
I think I might have even spoken about it on the podcast before, but I use that all the time to look at like where plants have been spotted in the natural environment, and people like geotag them and stuff like that. So I love the plant geekiness of it. But yeah, I mean, spoiler alert here, but she had gone on to iNaturalist looking at where death cap mushrooms had been
Mm.
spotted in the local region. Um, it's
Well,
just, yeah, there's such
like,
a,
there couldn't have been any other explanation. I mean, they tried. Her defense team, her legal counsel, tried to argue that there were reasons why she had done everything she'd done.
yeah.
And these people were in hospital almost dead, and she went home after knowing they were in hospital almost dead and said that she scraped the mushrooms off of the food and fed it to her 2 children.
Hmm.
And that was part of her defense. That
Hmm.
it was such a weird story. What do you think her emotional state or diagnosis would be to act the way she did and to try and explain
I,
herself the way she did?
I couldn't comment on that. I couldn't possibly.
N No sort of
Um,
armchair psychology sort of.
no, no. I mean, like, it's incredibly messed up what she did. But I don't know what the official diagnosis would be.
What do you
I would,
think the chances of the husband reconciling with her?
I don't know. We'll have to wait for his tell-all book.
And what's he gonna say in this book that, "I didn't go to this house to eat that meal because I knew she was, like, attempted to murder me multiple times." I can't see any way that it makes him sound like he he was trying to protect his family.
I
It's
don't know.
so.
I don't think we should get ourselves into any legal hot water.
Alright, well, I'm not accusing him of it. I'm just saying that it's something that I've seen floating around.
I'm just asking the questions.
Well, I'm not even asking it. I read somebody else asking it, so I'm telling you what somebody else was asking online.
Alright.
Um,
I do love, um, I do love those sort of, what do they call them? Not armchair, like amateur detective
mhm.
things. What was that other thing on, I think also on Netflix? Was it How to Get Away with Killing a Cat or something? Did you ever watch that?
No.
Oh, it was incredible, like, documentary about, a murderer.
Hmm.
Also, I could be wrong here, but I think it also took place in Australia.
It
Or
all happens there.
one of the murders took place in Australia. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. I could be wrong. But anyway, but it was just so interesting, like all these amateur detectives online solving the case. It was just fascinating. I'll find out what it's called. It might not be called that, and I'll put a link in the show notes.
Well, with this case of Erin Patterson, how about, like, the people that were showing up to the public gallery for every day of the trial? Like, there
Oh
was that
yeah.
woman they interviewed who she said she got down there at, like, 6 a.m. some mornings to get
Mhm.
in because she didn't wanna miss one day of the trial. I mean,
Fans.
people become obsessed with, true crime, don't they?
Yeah.
Um, I'm fascinated. I mean, Erin Patterson has formally lodged an appeal against her murder conviction. She lodged that in November 2025. But this thing, to paraphrase Miranda Priestley, this sort of stuff moves at a glacial pace.
Hmm.
Um, like if you look at the timeline, like the lunch took place on in July
Well, of what year?
2023, and she wasn't found guilty until July 2025, so it took 2 years
That's
for her.
quick for the legal
Oh,
system.
you think?
That is fucking really fast for the legal system.
And then
That
there
was in
was
the
another.
UK. If that was the UK, it would be honestly like 7 or 8 years.
All right. And then it was another 2 years, sorry, 2 months between being found guilty and then being sentenced. And
Yeah.
so she was sentenced to, what was it like? 4 life sentences or something like that, and it says with a minimum non-parole period of 33 years. So does that mean after 33 years that there's a possibility of parole, but it could be very unlikely? But
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's fascinating. It's horribly sad. Do you feel guilty watching this sort of tragic story as a form of entertainment? Because it's not really informative, is it? I mean, I know you like the mushroom part of it, but it's not really doing anything for humankind. It's just sort of
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it's not my go-to sort of thing, but I was somewhat interested in it. I just think it's such an interesting story.
yeah,
And mushrooms are really weird. Like, I find them fascinating, but they are really weird, and it's really
yeah,
weird. Have you read that book? What's it called? The Melvin Sheldrake book. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's all about fungi and mushrooms, and he talks about um, how different cultures around the world have very different relationships with mushrooms.
yeah,
Some cultures revere them, and you can find mushroom motifs in lots of like art going back centuries, whereas other cultures completely shun them. I mean, they are a really weird food group, aren't they?
yeah.
In the fact that some of them can kill you, some of them can make you hallucinate.
At
Um,
the next supper club I do with Unity Diner on June 22nd, I think it is. If people want to buy tickets, they can come along. It's a fundraiser for the animal sanctuary. But I think the focus of the meal is going to be mushrooms
death cap
because,
mushrooms,
yeah,
lovely.
death cap mushrooms. No, but they're having like, what are those big, like lion's mane
Oh
mushrooms?
yeah, yeah, they're
They're having
nice.
those like done like a steak, like, grilled on the barbecue with like thick cut chips and maybe peas. And they've partnered with somebody to launch mushroom boxes. So it's a box packed with lion's mane mushroom spores. So
Oh
you can
yeah,
keep it at home and what do you water it, I suppose? Or,
yeah. You spray it. I had one a few years
yeah.
ago.
Did it work?
Yeah, it was really nice.
But they only
Um,
grow once, right? Like they
yeah,
don't. Yeah, and so they're gonna be selling these boxes. So on the night, I'm gonna, like, help host and, people are gonna eat the meal, and then I'm gonna try and, like, push these mushroom boxes on people. I'll go in drag as Erin Patterson. Do you d did you get a chance to or you haven't had a chance to listen to that Lady Gaga album?
what Lady Gaga album?
Yeah, the new live album.
Is that what it is? I don't even know what it is. What is it?
Okay.
I thought because I was messaging you earlier thinking it was a concert.
Yeah, it is, but it's also been released as a live album with the live concert, like it's a whole
So it
package.
so it wasn't the Mayhem tour.
No. So what this is called is Mayhem Requiem. And you know how dramatic she is, Sue. She's announced it as a funeral for the Mayhem period. So it's all interpretations of the songs into a very gothic, uh, I don't know how to describe it. Gothic is the best word. There's electronic things that sound like Nine Inch Nails. She does some of the songs just on piano, but with like vocoders on her voice, singing like gothic dirges. It's spectacular. Like to me, I think it's one of the best things that she's released in her career. So it's the album in its entirety, from the first song to the last song, and only through Apple Music, so you can um, watch the film, the concert film on Apple, or you can download the album on Apple or iTunes. And I don't know if it will be released anywhere else, but it is absolutely spectacular. It's like her with the live band on this deconstructed, the set that we saw the tour, how it was like all pillars and like a
Mm,
palace or an opera house.
mhm.
It's all destroyed. So her and the band are playing on top of the rubble of the set of the tour.
And why is she having a funeral for Mayhem? Is she moving on to something different?
Yeah, I think this is probably, like she's just a very conceptual artist, isn't she? that she likes to tell these stories, even though sometimes they're a little bit naff. You know, they're a little bit like when we went to see her in Las Vegas and she did this Enigma show where she was fighting this space alien version of herself. You know, it was
Right.
a bit silly,
Yeah.
but I think Mayhem is the most fully realized era of her career that she's got to do. She's done it on her terms and she's ended it with this spectacular thing. But we can't really talk about it until you see it. But I really think it's up there with, like, you know how amazing like this Prince Sign of the Times concert film is. I think
Mm.
it's that level of craftspersonship, you know, like craftspersonship. It is so spectacular. And what she
Mm.
does to these songs, you might even like die with a smile now. Like the way
Okay.
she performs this, it is just phenomenal. And, but is it problematic for people to partner with a company like Apple? Like, how problematic is Apple as a modern, as we enter late stage capitalism? How problematic is Apple?
Well, I mean, all companies are problematic to any. I don't know. It's too it's too complex for my fogged brain to get into. But I mean, I'm recording this on an Apple laptop.
Yeah,
I've got
everything we're
my
doing is
Apple
Apple right now.
iPhone
Yeah,
like in front of me, so
yeah.
yeah, like we're all part of the problem, baby.
Uh-huh. Well, she did this thing where they showed the film, the concert film in some, cinemas in the US, just like a one-off screening. And she was in Los Angeles where she walked from she did this performance art piece where she was dressed in funeral attire and she had all the dancers and she had a brass, I don't know, like, what do you call it when it's 4 people? A quartet?
Yeah,
They were playing like a funeral dirge version of, I think it was Abracadabra, and they walked like a funeral procession, but really camp. And they walked from the Apple store to the cinema across the street. And it's just like so camp and ridiculous.
wait, this is in the film or no?
No,
This
this is to late yesterday to at the launch of it, like to
late stage launch, late
yeah,
stage capitalist launch.
yeah. And she walked like as a stunt from the Apple store, just unannounced, and walked across to the cinema where the premiere of this thing was happening. I just think it's hilarious, but it is a spectacular piece of art. And I think, I don't know, probably shouldn't talk about sharing passwords into accounts like Apple while we're using Apple devices. We'll get
Oh,
spied on.
probably not soon. No.
Our phones will be pinged in Leongatha or Korumburra. Um, so anyway, um, that's very exciting to me, and
I
I
will
love it.
watch it. I will watch it. I'll find a way.
Just finishing up this week, what do you make of all of the press scrutiny of Zack Polanski and the Green Party going on in the UK currently? Do you think it's fair game, or do you think they're getting worse treatment from the UK press than some of the other parties are getting?
Yeah, I think the press is not impartial. I do think the press have a narrative. And depending on what media source you're consuming, obviously that narrative will be different. But there definitely does seem to be across society and therefore in the media as well, um, this idea that the Greens can't be taken seriously.
Mhm.
And so that, I suppose, manifests in this extreme levels of scrutiny about like Zach Polanski's actions in the past. I mean, it's absurd, really, isn't it? Because they're talking about things that he did, 10 years ago, whereas there are things that people like Nigel Farage are doing, or Keir Starmer, or
Yeah,
Kemi Badenoch are doing, like in the present day, which deserve much more scrutiny. Um,
yeah.
it's just weird. It's just weird, twisted logic.
And things like, for people outside the UK who might not know, in the UK, when you are a resident somewhere, you have to pay council tax generally to your local authority, like your local council, and it helps cover things like, like public housing in your
Right.
area, rubbish collection. that sort of thing, like the general upkeep of your area. And Zack Polanski, for a while, him and his partner were living on a boat, a canal boat, and some journalist dug around and found out that he hadn't paid council tax while he was living on this boat. And there was the hugest uproar. I mean, it's on the front page of the BBC. Everyone's kicking off about it. Zack Polanski said he didn't know he needed to pay it, and he apologized and he tried to pay it. But have you seen the council have come out and said, yeah, we haven't asked anybody on these boats to pay council tax in 35 years?
I was just going to say, I didn't think you had to pay council tax if you lived on a boat.
Well, no. The rule is some do, some are meant to, but most councils don't enforce it, because if they enforce it, they're thereby law required to give all the services to these people on the boat that they would give to someone living in a normal house, and it would cost them more to do it. Like sewage collection and rubbish collection.
Yeah.
It would cost them more to do it than they actually bring in council tax from these people on the boat.
Right.
So it's been a big hullabaloo. So on one hand, you've got Nigel Farage, who is the leader of the right-wing Reform Party, who was given a £5 million personal gift from a crypto billionaire and doesn't seem to be getting as much scrutiny. Oh, sorry. Sneezing. You do have a mute button, by the way. I will remind you.
I'll edit it out in post, Sue.
But so you've got him being raked over the coals, Zack Polanski being raked over the coals for this council tax situation, which the council itself has said we didn't ask him to pay. He was never billed. But then on the other hand, you've got Nigel Farage, who was given a £5 million gift, apparently with no strings attached, from a crypto billionaire. And it doesn't seem to get the same level of scrutiny or ridicule from people. And
well, there is, to be fair, I suppose, there is going to be a parliamentary inquiry into that £5 million donation. But yeah, even so, in the press arena, they fixate on ridiculous things. And like, there's obviously the hypnotherapy, breast enlargement thing that everyone keeps bringing up about Zack Polanski over and over and over. And yeah, okay, it was ridiculous, but I mean, we've all done ridiculous things in our past.
What about this? What about this thing then? What about, I read today online that the Green Party has said that Zack Polanski didn't vote in the recent local elections. What do you make of that? Should he be required to vote if he's going to be standing up asking other people to vote?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Why wouldn't he have voted?
Has he confirmed that he didn't vote, or explained why he didn't vote?
Yeah, I don't think they've had enough time to explain why, but they have said, oh yes, it is, we have confirmed that he didn't vote in these recent elections. And I find that very weird.
That is odd, but I mean, we don't know the full story, so
no. Also, he's living in a share house, and he lives in a share house with, I think, 5 other people, because that's what London is like. And he's not on a big wage. He's employed by the London, what's it called? The London Authority. What?
London Assembly?
London Assembly. He's a London Assembly member. So he doesn't make a ton of money. But the newspapers or people online, more sort of right-wing pundits are saying, oh, the man of the people lives in a house worth £2 million in London. But it's not his house, and he rents a room. So that would be most working class people in London would live in a house, but it's not theirs. But yeah, talking about them sort of dragging up anything from his past, like the hypno boob thing, everything, got me thinking, if you or I ever ran for public office, God forbid, what do you think some of the top things that people would be able to drag up from your past and use against you to say, hey, what's the, like as a scandalous headline? Or I was thinking, imagine if there was CCTV footage of that time we were in Vegas and I was so drunk I screamed out, I'm a gazelle. I tried to run and jump over a hedge and I cut my leg. Can you think of any other things
I
that
can't. I mean, there's lots of things I can think of, but not that I'm going to say on the podcast because my mum watches this occasionally. So there are things that I'm not going to.
I mean, there's obviously things like drug-related things or
I
alcohol-related
don't know
things.
what you mean, Sue.
I mean, I've got stories online where I've talked about when I was young, I used to shoplift all the time. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah,
the press would have a field day with me
yeah.
and the things that I've done. Also,
There's
a lot of the animal rights things that I've done and the opinions I've espoused online about social justice. I'm sure that I would get dragged by the right wing press.
yeah. There's something in my past I'm really really ashamed of, but I'll tell the story anyway. And this would have been about 2005, I think. And we had been living in Sydney. I don't know what the year was. Maybe it was 2006. Anyway, we'd been living in Sydney, and we were leaving. Like, we'd quit our jobs. We'd sold our flat. We were going to America to travel for 3 months, I think. And I went out drinking on my last day at work with colleagues. Anyway, I was very drunk, very emotional. I was in a very, very, she wasn't well. And we were staying at my friend Sal's place in Bondi Junction. Do you remember all that? It was
Yes.
kind of halfway between Bondi Junction and Bondi Beach. And I was out on Oxford Street, and I said goodbye to my work colleague, and I was very emotional. And I got on a bus. I was so drunk. I got on a bus. I'm so embarrassed. I'm telling the story. And I said, how much to Bondi Junction? And the driver said something to me like $3.73. And, in Australia, they don't have, like, the smallest denomination of coin is 5 cents. Like, everything is rounded up or down to 5 cents. So I thought he was like, I don't know what I thought. I was really drunk. And I'm gonna use the C word. There's a John Waters film. I can't remember which John Waters film it is, but there's a character in the John Waters film that says, "You're a cunt, a real fucking cunt." which film is that?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Anyway, so in my drunken stupor, I thought the driver was like taking the piss. He was actually, I realized the next morning, he was telling me the bus number that I needed to get to go to Bondi Junction because I was on the wrong bus. But in my drunken stupor, I was saying, in a Baltimore accent, I was yelling,
Oh,
"You're a
God.
cunt, a real fucking cunt."
And what did the bus driver do?
I don't know. He probably just rolled his eyes. I mean, if you're a bus driver, like driving in a city late at night, you're going to have all
Did you
sorts.
stay on the bus?
No, I got off. And I don't even know. I think I might have even just got a cab home after that. But I felt
Horrible.
so bad the next day. I apologize to bus drivers all over the world for my disgusting behavior and for using the C word.
Well, that will be the number one thing the right-wing press drags you for if you ever run for
Well, especially
pub.
now that I've committed it to
Uh,
podcast eternity.
if I told my worst stories than that, I would have about 150 of them.
Well, you've got to tell us one.
Well, my gazelle one is pretty funny, but I mean, I was involved in all sorts of petty vandalism and things when I was young. I mean, the things that, just like drunken, ridiculous, like lashing out as a teenager, hurt, nobody understands me, setting things on fire, getting drunk, staying out all night. Oh, I'll tell you one, and it's one for Michelle because I know that she often listens. I think on double speed to get through. She can't stand us for 45 minutes. But when I was young, Michelle was the first of us all to get a bank account, her own bank account, and she had like an ATM card. And I stole her ATM card and her PIN number, and I went and got $10 out of her bank account. And I didn't go to school. What do you call it in the UK when you don't go to school?
You
Truant?
bunked off.
I bunked off. I played truant. I played hooky, whatever you
You
call it.
wagged. In Australia, say you wagged off,
I
wagged
wagged
school,
it.
right?
I wagged school, and I went to the city centre.
Yeah.
And I went to a shopping centre called the Maya Centre that was on the Queen Street Mall, and I used my ill-gotten money from Michelle's bank account to ride the dragon roller coaster inside. There was a fun fair at the top of the Maya Center and top of the shopping mall, and I rode around on this dragon train for a few times, and then I threw Michelle's card in the bin, and when she said, "Where's my card?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about," and it wasn't until years later that I confessed to her.
Oh, so she does know this. This isn't.
She knows now.
Okay.
And so I'm very ashamed. Hopefully I've made it up to her. I don't know how I have.
The point is, we all do ridiculous things and lack judgment in our youth, and our politicians are no different.
But should that disqualify somebody from getting into a position of power or responsibility later in life?
What it does? Should it?
No.
What are you saying?
Should it? And what level? What line do we not cross?
Yeah, like if somebody's murdered people with death cap mushrooms, should that preclude them from running for public office?
No. Anyway, well, thanks everyone for joining us for another episode. Is there anything you need to let people know about before we sign off?
Nothing at all. Yes, enjoy yourselves wherever you are, whenever you're listening to or watching this, and do hit subscribe.
And please go to fatgayvegan.com if you'd like to buy some tickets to come to London Vegan Beer Fest, which is happening in September, but the early bird tickets are on sale now. And all of these things we've talked about today, I mean, I don't drink alcohol anymore, but these are or were the reasons I drink, or the reasons I drank. What's the past tense of drink? Drank?
Drank? Yeah.
Drank.
I drank a bottle of Malbec.
These are the reasons I drank. As Alanis might say.
Purely for the optics.
Yeah. Well.
All right.
I was going to say have a great weekend, but I don't know what time you're watching this. Have a great whatever you're doing.
Enjoy late stage capitalism, folks.
Okay. See you.
Bye.
Bye.